Motu loved samosas more than anything else in the entire world. Crispy samosas, spicy samosas, hot samosas, it didn't matter what kind they were. Motu could smell them from miles away, and his love for them was legendary in Furfuri Nagar. One particularly bright and sunny morning, Motu woke up with a huge, happy smile plastered across his face. Why? Because today was a special day. Sharmaji, the owner of the local tea stall, was making extra samosas, not just a few extra, but mountains of them. His best friend Patlu, always the calm and sensible one, followed him at a more relaxed pace. "Motu, please slow down," Patlu called out, adjusting his glasses. "You're going to trip and fall again, just like last time." But Motu's ears were deaf to anything that wasn't tea, the sizzle of a samosa frying. When samosas were involved, caution was thrown to the wind. When they finally arrived at the tea stall, Motu's eyes grew as wide as saucers. It was even better than he had imagined. There, sitting right on the counter, was a massive, glistening plate piled high with golden brown, perfectly triangular samosas. The aroma was intoxicating, a beautiful mix of spices and fried dough that made Motu's stomach rumble with anticipation. He reached out his hand, his fingers twitching, ready to grab the biggest one he could find. But just as his fingertips were about to touch the crispy crust, a familiar, eccentric voice interrupted the moment. "Wait, I have invented something truly amazing." It was Dr. Jhatka, the town's resident genius inventor, who had appeared out of nowhere with a strange worry machine strapped to his back. He held up a small shaker with a mischievous grin. "Behold," Dr. Jhatka announced proudly to the small crowd that had gathered, "this is my latest creation, the flying spice powder. Just sprinkle a little bit on any food and it will magically float in the air." Motu's gasp was audible. His mind immediately went to one thing and one thing only: flying samosas. He whispered in awe, his eyes sparkling with a new kind of excitement. Patlu, however, was not convinced. He frowned, his practical mind already seeing a dozen ways this could go wrong. "Dr. Jhatka, that doesn't sound very safe at all," he warned. "Food is meant to be eaten, not to fly." But it was too late. Before anyone could react or say another word, Motu had snatched the shaker from Dr. Jhatka's hand. With a little shake and a puff of shimmery dust, he sprinkled the magical powder all over the most perfect-looking samosa on the plate. For a second, nothing happened. Then, suddenly, whoosh, the samosa lifted off the plate as if it had grown invisible wings. It hovered in the air for a moment, then started zipping and zooming around the tea stall like a tiny, delicious spaceship. "My samosa, it's flying!" Motu shouted with pure joy. He wasn't scared or worried, he was thrilled. He started jumping up and down, trying to catch his airborne snack. But the flying samosa was fast. It zoomed out of the tea stall and into the busy street, flying over people's heads, weaving past houses, and zipping straight across the crowded marketplace. Motu didn't hesitate for a second. I'm coming for you," he yelled, running after it with all his might. His chase was a whirlwind of chaos. He bumped into vegetable carts, sending tomatoes and potatoes rolling everywhere. He knocked over a stack of colourful pots, and he even ran straight into the town's notorious gangster, John the Don, who was enjoying a quiet cup of tea. John, now covered in spilled tea and furious, got up and started chasing Motu too. "Motu, I will make you into a chutney," he roared. The scene was pure madness, a flying samosa, followed by a hungry Motu, who was being chased by an angry John the Don. Back at the tea stall, Patlu watched the chaos unfold. He shook his head, sighed, and put his hand on his forehead. While everyone else was running and shouting, Patlu remained calm. He knew that panic wouldn't solve anything. "This has gone too far," he said to himself, thinking carefully. "I must stop this before someone gets seriously hurt." He started to formulate a plan, his brilliant mind working quickly to find a logical solution to this very illogical problem. Meanwhile, the great samosa chase continued. The flying samosa led Motu into the town park, where it cheekily flew up and landed on the branch of a very tall tree. Never one to give up, Motu started climbing the tree, his stomach growling loudly. Almost there, just a little further. He panted, but just as he reached for the branch, his foot slipped. Down he went, tumbling through the leaves and landing with a soft thud in a large leafy bush below. The samosa seemed to laugh, wiggling in the air before flying even higher, just out of reach. Motu, now covered in leaves and twigs, looked up with despair. "Oh, please come back, my dear samosa," he begged, his voice filled with hunger and sadness. His stomach let out another loud, long growl that echoed through the park. Just then, another one of their friends, Gasitaram, appeared, holding a large butterfly net. He swung the net with all his might, aiming for the flying snack. But he misjudged the swing, and the net came down right on top of him, trapping him completely. He struggled and wiggled, but he was stuck. Back in the chaos, Dr. Jhatka, who had finally caught up, slapped his forehead. "Oh no, my memory. It is so bad," he shouted. "I completely forgot to tell you the most important part. The flying spice powder is temporary. The effect wears off after some time." Patlu's ears perked up. This was the key. He quickly did some mental calculations, factoring in the time since the powder was sprinkled and the height of the spirit. "Aha!" he exclaimed. "If the powder is about to stop working, then that means the samosa is going to fall." Without wasting a moment, Patlu ran to a nearby laundry shop and borrowed a large, sturdy blanket. He rushed back to the tree and, with the help of Sharmaji and a few other onlookers, spread the blanket out directly underneath the flying samosa. "Everyone, get ready," Patlu instructed. They all held the edges of the blanket tight, creating a makeshift safety net. Everyone looked up, their eyes fixed on the floating treat. Sure enough, just a few seconds later, the samosa's energetic zipping began to slow down. It wobbled in the air, then started to float gently downwards, like a leaf in autumn. Down, down, down it came, until it landed with a soft plop right in the center of the blanket. It was safe. Motu scrambled out of the bush and rushed over. He carefully picked up the samosa and hugged it tightly to his chest. "My precious samosa, you're finally mine. I'll never let you go again." But just as Motu opened his mouth wide to take a giant bite, a strange thing happened. The samosa started to shake and vibrate in his hands. Then, with a sudden pop, it burst open, splitting into dozens of smaller, bite-sized samosas that scattered all over the blanket. For a moment, everyone was silent in surprise. Then, the whole crowd erupted in cheers. Moto looked at the pile of mini samosas, and his sad face broke into a huge, beaming grin. "This is even better." He laughed loudly. He picked up the small samosas and started sharing them with everyone. He gave a handful to Patlu, some to Sharmaji, and even offered a few to the still-tangled Taram, John the Don, seeing that there was no single big samosa to fight over anymore, just grumbled and walked away angrily. Dr. Jhatka, meanwhile, was busy taking notes for his next big invention. As the sun began to set over Furfuri Nagar, painting the sky in beautiful shades of orange and pink, Motu sat happily eating his share of the samosas. He looked at his best friend and said, "You know, Patlu, flying or not, samosas are always best when they are shared with friends." Patlu smiled warmly, and he added with a chuckle, "They are also best when eaten safely on the ground." They both laughed together, enjoying the delicious food and the perfect end to a very adventurous day. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories.